Hello everyone and welcome to another Thomas video. So today we're taking a look at Mono Red Sneak Attack in Thomas format. So we tried a very similar list to this last time, but I've been suggested by Goblin Lasagna to try out a new card called the Chomping Mastasaur, which is apparently an insane card for this deck, which honestly, I didn't even know it was a thing. So the card the Chomping Mastasaur is replacing here is the World Spine Worm. Last time I tried with the Worm, it was actually pretty good, because if you sneak attack with a 15 attack trample, and it splits into 3 creatures and you can attack them for 15 damage again. But obviously it doesn't pair that well with the Cavern Consume, because the Cavern Consume does neuter the card that gets played onto the battlefield into a 4/4 stat line, and that's where the Chomping Mastasaur becomes a little bit better compared to the World Spine Worm, since the stat line of this card actually doesn't matter, since what this card actually says is whenever this creature enters or attacks, discard a card, then seek a non-land card, and when you discard a card this way, this creature deals damage equal to the discarded card's mana value to any target. So just imagine this card discarding an Emrakul. You can basically deal 15 damage to opponent, which is quite absurd in my opinion. So despite the Cavern Consumed being a worse version of the Breach, making cards like World Spine Worm and Emrakul a little bit worse, but because the Chomping Mastasaur still has an ETB trigger, letting you deal damage depending on what you discard, it pairs up very nicely with the Cavern Consumed, essentially making this card into a perfect fit for the deck. Another thing that's really good about this card is the fact that it's castable. We are in color, we can Seething Song into this card, which is another really nice thing about this card. It is still a 6 mana 6/6 opponent has to deal with, and every time it attacks or comes onto the battlefield, you can deal a lot of damage this way, which wasn't really possible before with the World Spine Worm. And lastly, being able to Chrome Mox into this is a lot better than something like a World Spine Worm. So I'm quite a bit of fan of this card, so I'm very excited to try this deck out. So having said that, I'm going to be hopping over to some Thomas BO3 to show you guys what the deck does. So let's hop over there. Alright, let's take a look at this deck. This is too slow, right? Alright, we mulliganing quite a bit here. Yeah, okay. Let's do this. Bloodstained Mire. I'll start with the Mountain. I could have kept double Ancient Tomb into the One Ring, but it's just for taking so much damage, right? Alright, let's see what my opponent is playing. Could just be a mono black. Maybe not. We don't really know yet. Oh, it's that kind of deck. Okay, well, we have a Waste Not mono black player. Potentially getting discarded, or maybe like a Shelter coming out. Oh, wow. Okay. We got a bit of a memer here. At the beginning of the next end step, each player discards their hand and return to their hand each card they exile this way. No, I wanted to keep all those. Okay, kinda cool. Kinda cool. Sure. Okay, so let's get rid of both of these. I think I just want a one ring here, right? I think so. Why is this so loud? I don't think attacking makes sense. Does it? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can play the Chomping Mastasaur. I guess I should probably attack in case they get rid of the Sculpin Shaman. If I draw an Emrakul and opponent deals 2 damage to themselves, I actually win the game, by the way. It says when you discard a card, this creature deals damage equal to the discarded card's mana value. No! I wanted this. Kind of annoying. Another Chomping Mastasaur. You know? That's a card. That is a card. $15 damage, boink. 15 damage. Okay. That's kind of cool. I won't lie, that's kind of cool. So what do we need to do to actually survive? I mean, Chalice is already really good against them. Sheoldred is a problem, but I guess we just need to, like, put these on the battlefield. Man, that's really cool. This card's actually really good. I can maybe see myself having some Disruptor Flutes against, Memory Jar. But I just don't know how relevant that card is. I also don't know how to sideboard. I also don't know how to sideboard. Maybe a copy of an Aatroxa. Maybe greedily go down on a copy of a land. Since I'm going second this time. I could have actually cut a copy of a Chrome Mox too. Yeah, I should have actually cut a Chrome Mox before maybe cutting a land. Wait, I'm dumb. I brought an unlicensed hearse instead of a flute. I thought I was bringing a flute. Oh no. Okay, looks good. Looks actually really insane, by the way. I wonder if it's actually correct to go sneak attack first, or I wonder if I'm supposed to actually go one ring. What's really cool about this card is, okay, interesting. Oh my god. I mean, I gotta go sneak attack now, right? Wait! Hold up. Wait, this card is lethal. Look at this. $15 damage and then 6 attack. Wait. They created a... Hold up. Oh, that's actually really cool, by the way. The fact that Chomping... Wow, this card is actually way better than I thought. It's actually way better than I thought. Playing against the Star Buck. They forgot the S. Okay, so we were playing against this kind of deck. I wonder what I should do. I could go Chalice first. Right, I can go Chalice first. Or I can go even Fable. Chalice first or Fable? Okay, let's see if, okay. Nothing. I thought they were gonna counter for sure, but they didn't. That's why I decided to play the Chrome Mox first, but... yeah. I showed them the Ancient Tomb and then I wanted to Chrome Mox, and then I thought opponents gonna, you know, counter the Chrome Mox there, but they didn't. I'm sure they'll counter that. That's very interesting. So was my opponent just bluffing then? I do wonder if my opponent was just bluffing then. Interesting. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well, if opponent can't kill this Goblin Shaman, opponent's actually dead, by the way.
I will protect this library with my life.
If they can't actually kill this Goblin Shaman, opponent's actually dead. What? This is insane. Wait a minute, opponent's playing Yorion. I thought this was Loris.
Aggression.
Oh, they have a Solitude. Oh, I see what it is. They have a Solitude. There we go. So, okay. So, we see opponent's identity. It's a Esper Blink. Good night. Oh my god. I think I might actually be in love. This deck is so cool. This deck is actually so cool. Okay, so we are playing against a Blink deck. I'm not really sure about the Chalice. They could have an Ephemerate, Source of Plowshare. They have a Solitude. Seems like they also have, you know, things like Cameo, Brainstorm, Ponder. I mean, surely the Chalice isn't too bad, but is it necessary? Not sure. Actually, Magus seems kind of bad because opponent has Solitude. think I'll go down on a copy of a Chrome Mox. I don't want to rely too heavily on the Chrome Mox when they also play things like Prismatic Vistas. And I'm also going second this time. So I gotta cut 2 more cards here. Maybe I'll go down on Chalice. And I'll just have a defense grid this time. Oh, I got Chalices anyways. This is kind of a fishy hand, but I don't need to play the Chrome Mox until like later with the Chalice, so we'll see. So that sticks. So I would preferably want to land here, right? Surprised they cracked it again. They must really need a color source. They even played Temple Garden. The Beanstalk. Alright, we have a Cavern Consumed. I was really hoping for a land so I can set up either One Ring or Sneak Attack here, but we don't have that. Guess I'll just play another Chalice of the Void then. Okay, so we know opponent's like identity. It's up the Beanstalk, Blink deck. They could have a Flare of Denial with the things like these. We're really not seeing a land here. I did cut a copy of a Chrome Mox, so maybe I'm getting punished for that. And it seems like Chalice isn't like doing much, honestly. I mean, that's not exactly true. It is doing something. It is doing something. Okay, so the defense grid seems pretty okay. And it was a Flare of Denial. A question is, yeah, let's actually do that. A Seeding Song. And we'll play Sneak Attack. Here's a question. I think it's probably better to go Aatroxa because it seems like they have a Solitude. Since it wasn't Flare of Denial, this stop that they have is probably Solitude. So Emrakul's not gonna work. I just wanna, you know, get some lands out of this, things like that, while also gain some life with the Solitude and stuff like that, right? Alright, we got a land. Enchantment, Instant Speed, and Sorcery. Which means I can do again. Again! Alright, GG's. Alright, let's see. One more land and a... This hand is so good. If I just find one more land, I think I'll keep it. I'll start with the strip mine to see if I even want to crack this. Mono black. Yeah, this is fine if it's just a Troxa. But if there's like other discard spells here, that's pretty bad. What I need to get is a red land. Maybe I should have actually played the Ancient Tomb then. What I need to get here is a Chrome Moxier. Dark Ritual. Into one ring. The crazy thing is, if I just find one land, we still have a chance of winning. Actually, if the shelter does come down, I don't know if I actually have enough life total to actually win the game because I'm gonna be going down to... Huh. Am I gonna win? Am I even gonna be able to win if I get a land here? Because I'll be taking a lot of damage. Okay, opponent for some reason still not deciding to play the Sheldred. So if I just get one land here, win the game. Or a Chrome Mox. Seeding Song. Into a Seeding Song. Sneak attack. Okay, maybe maybe we're not gonna be able to win, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be close. I mean, I'll start with the Aatroxa first, right? I'll start with the Aatroxa. The sorcery, land, enchantment, artifact, and a creature. And then I'll put... Wait, maybe it's actually a win. Because the Chomping Mastasaur is gonna be able to attack here, right? So wouldn't that just be a win? Let me actually play this one again. Emrakul. Seeding Song. Land. Sorcery. Artifact. I don't know, like, did we win? I'm not really sure. Oh my god. I think opponent got a little bit complacent because they had 30 life total. They were like, there's no way, no way I can lose. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason opponent didn't decide to play the Shaldra there, right? But technically, I mean, getting a Sorin down, I was at like 5 life. So getting a Sorin down was technically better than Saint Alenda at the time. They were at 30 life, so... I mean, also my opponent didn't know what I was playing, so there's also that as well. So opponent's playing an Entomb Reanimator deck. The Chalice is actually insane against that deck. So I'm kind of hoping I do get Chalice early. The question is, it's also pretty bad for us because if opponent like goes Thoughtseize and then reanimate our creature, it's also really bad. Potentially, I'm supposed to go down on things like Aatroxa because of that. But it's also kind of hard to do so as well since, I mean, it's technically our game plan, so... I don't know. I'm gonna go down on a copy of a Strip Mine. Potentially, this deck actually doesn't want Strip Mines. Like, initially, this deck did have a Strip Mine because Show and Tell was popular, and Strip Mine happened to be pretty good against Show and Tell. Ooh, our hand is kinda bad. Yeah, it's kinda bad right now. It was actually okay with the double Chrome Moxes, but the third copy might be a little bit too much. I also should have played a Sundering Eruption, potentially. The reason why I'm not playing the Chrome Moxes out is because opponent could have a Sorin. The Chomping Mastasaur. Alright, so... let's see. I mean, don't I just play this card? I could just play this card. Isn't it better than just playing Cavern Consumed here? At least that's what I think. Yeah, I got a Cavern Consumed anyway, so... not bad. Is this a May? When you discard a card, the creature deals damage to the discarded card's mana value to any target. So it's not technically a May. Interesting. But I guess it's better than having these. The heck? I got the same card. What a scam. Leyline of Sanctity. Interesting. Into a Chrome Mox. And a Reanimate. Okay, well, let's keep attacking. Okay, that's very, very insane what happened. What are the chances of you discarding a seeding song to get a seeding song and then discarding a seeding song to get a seeding song? Discard a card and seek a non-end card. It just says non-end card, so we just happen to get the same card 2 times in a row? Kinda crazy. Yeah, I would say kinda crazy. Another One Ring. Okay. Guess we'll just attack here. I'll play another one. Lots of Chrome Moxes. The Emrakul Prevention. Into Saint Elenda. Into a Saint Elenda. So they're gonna make one of my creatures unable to attack here. Sure. So even if I go Cavern Consumed into an Emrakul, it's not that great. It's probably better to have Aatroxa down. Alright, so land? Chalice? Actually, do I want One Ring? Emrakul Sneak Attack. I'm not really sure. Do I want One Ring? I can technically play it. Maybe I do want One Ring. No, I can't play it this turn. Kill that. And I'll play Chalice for 1. So this will basically prevent some crazy cards coming out, like Reanimate, stuff like that. Hard cast Saint Elenda. Hmm. Well, Chomping Mastasaur. Let's see if they have a instant speed life gain or a way to get rid of this Emrakul. Okay. Bravo. Alright, so took this deck for a spin today, and honestly it was just an absolute slaughter. We didn't really like play against like a super meta decks today though, so just bear in mind, but one thing's for sure, I actually really liked the Chomping Mastasaur because it just lets you deal 15 damage out of the blue. Multiple times, because of the shock lands and fetch lands and stuff like that, they are just going to bound to go to 15. And if this card ever sneaks down, whether it be from a sneak attack, cavern consumed, or seeding song, the game could be just over in the spot. I think that's why this card is so broken, because you have 3 different ways of actually getting to this card. And even not even that, right? Not even that, not even these. You could just ramp into it with Fable, treasure tokens, and the Chrome Moxes. It's definitely doable. And we've seen that too. Like once this card lands, like it's just game over, honestly. Like the thing is like it's a 6 mana card, so like things like Fatal Push isn't gonna work, things like that. So you do have to play Swords out of it. Or maybe like a Sheoldred's Edict. But again, it does have an ATB, so even against a Solitude that was able to get rid of this, but because of the ETB trigger, my opponent died to the Emrakul. So that's also really sick. And if you do hard cast this, like the fact that you can attack with this card every single turn, like it is a threat, right? It is a 6/6 threat. It's not only a 6/6 threat, but it's also shooting damage to any target you want. So even though my opponent was able to resolve something like, an Elenda on the battlefield, because I had double Chomping Mastasaur, I could just attack with this and then discard an Aatroxa, dealing 7 damage, or, discarding something like Cavern Consume to deal 5 damage to Sheoldred. The card was just absolutely insane. I'm not sure if I played Fury last time when I played this deck, so maybe the deck has changed a bit compared to what I played, but that's besides the point. I just really like this card. What can I say? I think this card is great. If you're ever interested in trying out Sneak Attack again, I think you should really test this card. This card is just absolutely insane. I had my doubts, but thank you for the suggestion, Goblin Lasagna. I think this card was absolutely insane. As for the sideboard, I think this is probably the same as last time I played as well. But it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Disruptor Flute against Show and Tell, things like that, or the Strip Mine loops. Thinking about it, Show and Tell, because Show and Tell is not as popular, maybe you're not supposed to play Strip Mines anymore. Strip Mine we had this Strip Mine because Show and Tell was relatively popular, but Show and Tell, I haven't seen a single Show and Tell in like, maybe for like a month. Ever since Avatar set release, I don't think I've seen a single Show and Tell, which actually makes a Strip Mine in a deck like this not necessary, because you never really want to go down on lands with this deck, right? You just want to constantly play lands so that, in hopes of drawing things like Sneak Attack so you can play it, One Ring so you can play it, Cavern Consume, Chomping Mastasaur. There's so many cards that you just want to play it, and you don't really want to go down on lands, in my opinion, so maybe the Strip Mine is a mistake. Technically, we are mono red. You're bound, like, this is a 24 land deck, right? Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 24. Technically you are... It is a lot of red mana, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 16. 16 red sources. I would really like if it was actually 18, since we do have like double reds here. Double red, sneak attack. I kind of consider this as like double red as well. Since the moment you play a sneak attack, you do want another red source to actually activate this card. However, I guess having Seeding Song does kind of make it okay, since this does give you a lot of red sources. So yeah, maybe Strip Mine is okay in the deck, but yeah, I think this deck was really powerful. But like I said, we didn't play against too many meta decks. We played against one meta deck, which was the Mono Black Reanimator with the Sorin and whatnot. So we played against one meta deck today, and then played against a bit of an off meta deck. But yeah, I think the deck is great. I think the deck is great. This is kind of a fun deck, right? I'm not really too sure if like how powerful this is yet, because I haven't played with the deck too much. But the last time I played this, even with the World Spine Worm instead of a Chomping Mastasaur, I was still able to win. The problem with the World Spine Worm version is that it does get shut down by the Shaldred a lot, because this deck is relying on the One Ring and Fable. So if something like a Shaldred does come down, you do have some problem getting rid of it. But the Chomping Mastasaur does kind of solve that issue, because you can just, you know, discard Cavern Consumed or any of these cards to get rid of it. Potentially you can just win instantly by discarding the Emrakul as well. So if the deck was doing well even without the Chomping Mastasaur before, maybe the deck is actually real, potentially. And apparently Goblin Lasagna was also having some very good success with this deck, so you know what? Maybe this deck is real. The only card that I kind of hesitant to recommend the crafting is the Cavern Consumed, because like Through the Breach is just a better card compared to Cavern Consumed, right? Because this card makes it into a 4/4. The Through the Breach doesn't, and Through the Breach also happens to be an instant speed card. So this card is definitely a lot weaker, and there's a potential that we might be getting Through the Breach in the next Power Cube, which is actually announced for January 6th. Last time in the article, they mentioned that it was the Through the Breach was actually kind of a little bit tricky to code because of the splice mechanic, and that's actually a reason why Through the Breach wasn't in the Power Cube last time. So if they actually solve that, potentially we might be getting Through the Breach in the Power Cube, which also means that, you know, crafting this Cavern Consumed right now might be a mistake if you're especially short on wildcard. So yeah, that is gonna be it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye bye.